Hello everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. A quick fire update here on Multivac. So these guys haven't had a massive amount of news coming out in the last week or so since we did the last video. But one thing's for sure, we do always like to see more communication from Multivac, and we certainly have seen this in the last couple of weeks, albeit since the 30th, which was about 5 days ago. We haven't had any further updates from any news listed in this monthly update, or indeed anywhere else. But I'm going to take it. As I said many videos before, I'm very confused about Multivac at the moment. The lack of communication last 6-7 months, it has slightly improved in the last few weeks, but it's still a bit weird. And so for this article here that they put together, we already covered this listing on StealthX about a week ago, or a week and a half ago, and they had an AMA. If you haven't listened to that AMA, I'd go and listen to it. It's very odd. And when it came to Multivac to introduce themselves and things, it just sounded like it was written on a piece of paper and it's just being read from a piece of paper. It was like very unprofessional in my opinion, and it's just weird. I think they need to look at this. But that being said, it is news. It was news. It was an update of some capacity. And then we went on to a bit about the 10 millionth block height being created, and the fact that this did not have a significant impact on total locked value. So this is quite good to show some elements of the development going on in the background without any significant change to anything. So this is quite good to see because it links with the mainnet upgrade that they had on the 27th. The only weird thing is, so this task apparently lasted nearly 6 hours. And they do emphasize that the development team is working massively on the Multivac blockchain, which is great to hear and see this in writing. But yeah, since the 27th, there hasn't really been much more information on that point. So I would like to see a follow-up of some of these points, because if you look back on the social media, for example, there was indeed a tweet from Sean actually on the 27th that they were carrying out the upgrades in the next few hours. But then since that point, there hasn't been any update from that. And of course, some of the other channels are jumping in, making a few little jokes here and there. And yeah, in general, it's just a bit weird. Because to me, now it answers the question. It's like, well, hang on a minute. You're doing this test to upgrade the mainnet, but we haven't heard any of the results. Has it improved it? Has it not worked? What's going on? And the skeptical side kicks in, doesn't it? And then I'm sat there going, well, if it worked, they would have jumped for joy and been shouting about it. If it didn't work, they're probably keeping it hidden. So all of a sudden, you start asking more and more questions from the back of it. And finally, the fifth point here, communication channels are always open. Again, I still can't get onto Telegram, but let me know in the comments below if you are active on the Multivac Telegram group, and have you had any conversations with Kathy on there? I'm really interested to know, do you get responses? Is it an active audience? Is it an active admin group from Multivac? Do let us know, because from what I've been hearing, it's still a bit odd. So we're still in this 50-50 mentality. That kind of lifts me into the conversation around the charts. So we look here. Irrespective of Multivac's situation and what people think, we have an interesting situation here. So if we look back, we covered this in previous videos, the big sell-off here, like it was pretty much in every asset class at that stage. A bit of intake, outtake, and there's a small bit here of outtake here. But since the 17th of May, it has been all intake. The RSIs have slowly brought themselves up, as has the MACD, albeit that it has narrowed slightly in the last week. But it's still in a positive momentum. What does this suggest to me? It kind of insinuates the mind frame that I have personally, in the sense that I feel like Multivac is a slight risk investment, in the sense there's not enough good things happening or being talked about, where I'm I don't have much confidence, but on paper I still believe in Multivac. So sometimes investments means that you have to take a bit of a risk assessment and go, well, this could be a risk one. It may mean I lose my money, but that's where you then assess how much money you're putting in. I was always putting money into Multivac, especially over the last couple of months in a DCA position, because we've been on the way down, never knew where the bottom is. We still arguably don't. And it's the same for the way up as well. So I've been quite conscious and strategic where I've been putting the money in. And this is very apparent to see that pretty much everyone else is doing the same thing. I know a lot of people sold, and that's fine. I totally get why, and I understand why. The performance indicators on the RAND side are quite interesting. It's still positive on the month, only just. And the 1 week is pretty good, even though it's in red. It's dragged itself down quite nicely. The 3 month and the 6 months are coming down slowly as well. So this is an interesting little sign. The other thing I wanted to point out is the volumes. The volumes are really low, especially the last couple of weeks, but they're still incoming more than they are outgoing. The RSIs here are pointing a couple of things for me. They're still in a low region for me as a buyer to be considering. I would like that 14-day to be a bit lower and that 28-day to be maybe around 35, but I wouldn't be angry at jumping in these areas personally. That's my opinion, and I have been doing so. I am waiting now that I have had a bit of an injection into Multivac. I'm just waiting. Why? Because we're now balancing around this area that we have been on a number of occasions over last month. Is this suggesting a support line? I don't think so right now. We have a couple more confirmations to think about this. First of all, looking way back in the history, we can see where we are today is very much a pinpointed area that we have not properly seen since March last year and August in 2020. Since those two markers, we have been on an upward trend of Multivac in, going mad basically. And it's all come back down to these areas where we're like, hang on a minute, this is of interest now. And if you look back here at these lower regions when we had the launches and everything, it has been some time, 2019 guys, in most cases. So pulling ourselves back here, there are still interesting areas for me to look at. First of all, I want to point out this sideways trending motion, which is really good to see in terms of stability and confirms what I think as well. We're just sitting, waiting. We're still buying in at small increments. I want to get to 1 million, and I think this is a great opportunity to do so I can get the node aspect signed off, because I think you need 1 million MTV tokens to do that, okay? So that's one point. The other point is the fib retracement levels on the mini short-term level and the macro level here, or I would call the medium term. And then you've got the long-term one as well. We're currently bouncing in the last couple of weeks or so on this area of literally the 10th of a cent, pretty much. But my opinion is, if Bitcoin does drag itself down between $12,000 and $15,000, usually the rest of the market does pull itself down as well. What I am seeing is Bitcoin doing big fluctuations, which is understandable because there's a lot more value and money in that. And it's kind of obvious that that would happen. But the assets classes outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum tend to be holding their ground. And I think that is because people are in such a loss at the moment, including myself, I'm open and honest, that you're like, what's the point of selling? I might as well just buy at these low regions and hope soon, maybe, I can't really envision it massively this year, but certainly next year, a bit of a better rise up, big bull runs. So that's what I think is happening, but everyone's being cautious. We've got summer coming up, people want to be doing things. We don't have Christmas coming up. We've got bills, we've got energy price hikes, interest rate hikes. You've got to understand everything that's going on. Why isn't the price going up when they keep doing announcements, this, that, and the other on various projects and assets? You have to take a step back and think, well, look at your own position. Maybe you're lucky enough to not have to worry about all the other things, but there's a big majority of the world. Even I read this morning an article in the UK, people who are on like 60 to £100,000 a year salary are feeling normal. They're feeling the pinch still, even with those massive amounts of money coming into their income for the household. So it answers your own question there, like when you think about it. And that's why I sit there and I go, well, okay, that's the situation. I now need to adjust the percentage of money that I can put into this on a monthly basis because I have to live. I have to enjoy things, I could be dead next week, who knows? So like, these are all the things you have to think about. And when people sit there on like forums and stuff and go like, oh, well, if they've just announced this and it's not going up, it means the project's dead. It's not the project's dead. Everyone's still developing. This is the best time for projects to be developing. If they've got funds from their VC rounds and their seed rounds and equity rounds, that's what they're using it for right now. So that when we come out of this hole, we are going to all be in a massively strong position. And trust me, when the bull run starts to begin or like starts flowing upwards, we're going to see all these projects absolutely fly and absolutely go mad with announcements left, right, and center. Trust me, we've been in many cycles now to see how that happens and the psychological aspects of both investors and the projects themselves. So as I said, I've got buy areas just under this 10th of a cent mark, 0.0009. I'm not going to go much lower than that just yet. I think we've got plenty of time to decide whether that was going lower, because there is, as I said, these opportunities to hit these previous markers that we saw in February and back in February 2020 as well. That whole year gap arguably didn't move too much. So if you think about a linear line going across, we are floating quite nicely above that, which suggests that there is good investment in Multivac ever since those days. Of course there is, but we just have to be wary that if we break these barriers downwards, they can basically drop down quite significantly. So just be wary of that. But the timing may be good. We may see a bit of an uprise in the next few months. Who knows? But that's all you can do, is try and be strategic, try and be thoughtful about how you're investing, when you're investing. But for me, we're on a bit of an upward trend. It's confirmed here as well. As I said, with this MACD, it's been an upward motion for some time, as have all the RSIs, but they're gradual. They're very gradual, and they're very sideways in an instance as well. So we're literally in this limbo moment as to people like, well, I want to invest, but I don't want to put too much money in, and I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. That's where we all are, guys. It's as simple as that. I can't predict bull runs. I can't predict even worse drops, because no one knows. Any news could come out tomorrow around the world and drop everything. All we can do is what I'm doing now, is analysing where we are right now and observing two potential options in a realistic manner and in a strategic manner. That's all you can do. People who say they can predict things, they're lying. So guys, that is very much wrapped up Multivac. Let us know in the comments below what you are doing. Don't forget to please also like and subscribe if you have not done so already. If you have not done so, shame on you. Do it now. Press the button. Press the bell button so you get notified as well. But guys, thank you very much for watching. We'll wrap that one there. We're going to try and do a few videos. Keep them under wraps. We'll see you in the next Multivac video. Bye-bye.